Here's the final schedule. Midwest got booted all the way to January 20th. I think we were going to be here January 6th, where Japan is, and they booted us all the way to the 20th. You preferred for your region to happen sooner? No, I kind of like being towards the end of the season. That's better for me because I usually take time to ramp up and learn everything. But I also would have preferred US East to be the final one because I think that one has the most hype finale. I think there's much more of a storyline for US East than Midwest. US East has Punk, NuckleDu, IDOM, Bananakin. You know, it's everyone left over from when Mena RD left them in the dust. Only one person out of Punk, IDOM, and NuckleDu can qualify. 3 people you expect to be in Capcom Cup. So literally only one of them can make it. Wait, is World Warrior Circuit in the Pro Tour? Okay, one more time. Here are all the ways to qualify for Capcom Cup. You have 3 offline tournaments. If you win one of these tournaments, you qualify. EVO, CPT Singapore, CPT France. If you win that, you qualify. Then there's 18 online regional premieres. We're watching the CPT UK and Ireland premiere, for example. Whoever wins this one qualifies. There's 18 of those. Then there's World Warrior events. There's 26 regions. If you win the regional finals for your region, you qualify. World Warrior has 5 tournaments per region. You get points over those 5 tournaments. Then the top 8 players go to the regional finals. And then whoever wins of those top 8 in the regional finals goes to Capcom Cup. The vast majority of the qualifiers come from the World Warrior regional finals. So yes, World Warrior is the bulk of Capcom Cup. It's over 50% of Capcom Cup. And then one person comes from the LCQ. So World Warrior is absolutely the most significant portion of Capcom Cup. There's 5 events, so not each one of them doesn't matter that much. It's more about doing consistent over the first 5 events for your region. Then if you're one of the 8 players at the end, then you have to win that one. All the World Warrior regional finals have concluded. Now the reason why you might be missing these is because World Warrior, the qualifiers and the regional finals are 100% operated and streamed by the local TOs who are running them. So they don't run on the Capcom Fighters YouTube or Twitch channels. So because of that, you might have missed it. All these people from here are all qualifying through the World Warrior regional finals. The only one remaining is going to be the UK and Ireland one, or I guess it's really just, I think it is UK and Ireland. They are going to have their World Warrior regional finals after their CPT event. It's kind of like one of the only places to do that, really. All these people qualified by either getting first in the World Warrior regional finals, or they got second, and whoever got first qualified through the CPT event. For instance, Mirkin got second to Phenom, but Phenom had already qualified through CPT, so Mirkin made the cut. Fudo's the one who won for World Warrior Japan, for example. They still haven't had their CPT events. Mena won through the World Warrior regional finals in US East. They still haven't had their CPT event. Dual Kevin won in World Warrior Midwest. We still haven't had our CPT event. There's only 1 spot remaining in Japan, US East, and US Midwest, and that's through the final CPT premieres. So because of this, remember, there's only 1 spot remaining in Japan. Out of all the Japanese players, only 1 more to get in. We only have Fudo so far, and also Gachikun because he won one of the offline events. He won the CPT Singapore. Only one of Kakadu, Nemo, Daigo, Tokido, Bonchan, Shudo, whoever. Only one of those players is going to win. No Punk yet? No. So remember, I said US East. Only Mena RD. Mena RD won the US East regional finals. There's only 2 spots per region. Punk is in US East. Therefore, Punk is not in. They still have 1 more shot with their CPT premiere. That's going to go between Punk, NuckleDu, Bananakin, Space Boy, IDOM. A lot of competition. Punk is not guaranteed to get in because players like NuckleDu have beaten him plenty of times. IDOM, I think, has gotten a set or 2 over him as well. You know, Punk is a favorite for sure. I think Punk and NuckleDu are the 2 favorites. But how does this work exactly? Okay. So for the last time, here are all the ways to qualify for Capcom Cup. Just kidding. Go to the archives, bro. How many times do I have to go in circles explaining this? Do I prefer the old point system? I see value in the regional qualifiers because it does give representation to regions where players don't have access to travel for events and don't have the funds to do so, or are restricted based on visa issues and things of that nature. There is an inherent bias when doing offline events by where they're placed, always going to be. And it gave us players like Ending Walker, who had real impact in the Capcom Cup, who ended up going very far, and even players like Vegapatch from Spain. He never qualified via the point system in past years. That year, he got in through his CPT region, and he ended up getting 7th at Capcom Cup, eliminating Kawano, the EVO champion. There are real advantages to doing the regional format. It does give players a shot who wouldn't otherwise get it, who actually do make upsets and make waves at Capcom Cup. A lot of the players from regions that are underrepresented traditionally in the past end up not doing very well at the Capcom Cup and are generally outclassed by players from more predictably dominant regions. I do think that overall it lowers the level of play in the Capcom Cup. However, it gives the whole world a reason to tune in. So there's pros and cons to both. It's kind of like the World Cup format right now. The whole world is there. Yeah, some countries might get blown the fuck out. At least they're in the running, and you're supposed to get the best from each region to represent. Japan has traditionally been like 50% of Capcom Cup. Now they only have 2 spots. So a lot of the top players in Japan are punished for being in Japan. So even though they might be top 3 in the world, if the top 3 are all Japanese and they're top 3 in Japan, then they don't get to go. There is a downside for that. And I think it impacts the quality of the matches. I think 2019 Capcom Cup, almost every single set you watched was a banger. And I think with Capcom Cup, with this format, they do a group stage where a lot of the matches, the order they're doing it in also means like most of the days are very low stakes because it's all about the group stage and the record at the end. First couple of days, everybody's playing. You don't really care about the matches. They feel low stakes until the very end. A lot of the players are getting blown out because they're just not as strong. I mean, because they're from regions that haven't had a chance to develop as much. So I don't blame any players for that. It's just the reality of the situation right now. The world is not on the same skill level. I overall prefer the offline format with the points because it also gives you a storyline to follow throughout the year, which is very easy to follow. You'll watch the tournaments on Capcom Fighters. The players that you see consistently on the top 8 with your eyeballs in person are generally the players you're going to expect in the Capcom Cup. And by vibes, you can tell what's going on. By vibes. So I think that's very important, that people who are not well tuned into the CPT format should be able to get a feeling for what's going on. With this format, you can't do any vibes. I have to be a nerd looking at the results, looking at all these schedules, looking at all these results from around the world. I have to really research to get an accurate sense of what's going on in the world. Previously, you can be a casual spectator and be like, yeah, that guy's good. He's probably going to go to Capcom Cup. I get it. And that doesn't exist anymore. And I think that's a big miss. I think the vibe is off for the average spectator. And I think that's a huge thing that needs to be rectified. Anyone tuning into the stream right now, you're a top 0.01% consumer of Street Fighter content. And if people in my chat are consistently missing the vibe of the CPT, that's a problem because you are already a turbo nerd. You're in the top 0.01% of nerddom. And even you guys don't know what's going on. That's a problem. You just called us nerds? Yeah, but I'm like the nerd messiah right now. Like I am unbelievably wasting my life looking at all this. Don't even get me started on Inkross, all right? You gotta understand, we're off the spectrum of nerddom right now, okay? And we have to do that to help spread the message of what's going on in the world of Street Fighter. And here's the tablets telling us what's going on in the Capcom Cup qualifiers here. The point is, it's hard to follow. Doesn't mean either is perfect. I think the format before has problems, which is things like regional representation, being biased to professional players who have the funds and means to travel and also are from regions where they can get visas. That is a problem for sure, but I think there's more problems with this format than the previous one. The Street Fighter 4 Tour? No, like I'm talking mostly about like 2017 to 2019 Capcom Pro Tour. I think that's where we saw the kind of the final form of the Pro Tour forming was 2017 to 2019. Middle Eastern in my region benefits from this format, but everyone wants to see the likes of Tokido, Daigo doing grand finals. It's better for the game. I agree, right? Like even for me, I qualified in 2021. It got canceled, but like obviously this format was better for me. I'm not in the point format in 2021. Maybe if I spam tournaments and I got lucky, I could have snuck into Capcom Cup, maybe. But I had a much easier shot, and I do today. I have a much easier shot by being isolated to the Midwest, right? It's just objectively easier for me. If you put me in Japan and then told me to do the same thing, I would not be able to do it. At my current skill level, I don't want to put like caps on myself. I don't think you should ever do that. But the reality of where I stand right now, it would have been significantly harder to impossible to do it at that time without, somehow leveling up, right? That's just the reality of it. So it benefits me as a player, this format right now. However, as a spectator and as a fan of the game, I don't think it's better for the game or for the scene as a whole. The thing that people talk about the most is having World Warrior plus an offline tour. I think that would be the best. Throw like at least one qualifying position for every region and then do the rest through the CPT tour. I think that would be the best way to do it. A better way. I shouldn't say the best way. Something more along those lines. I don't know about 64 spots either. So they're doing 48 now, and the problem when you get this many spots is that they have to do the groups stages. I don't know if I love the group stages. One thing that Capcom Cup 9 did, I don't know if it was the ideal way to do it. They did a 1 or 2 matches from every group every day. Or they did 1 round. Yeah, they did rounds from every group every day. I don't know if I like this, because what it means is each player plays 1 to 2 matches every day, and then they wait another day. And then it's like 3 days of groups. So it's a long marathon of playing groups. But you're only doing 1 to 2 matches a day, and then you're sitting around. The problem with this is on day 1, the standings don't matter. None of these matches really matter to the spectators because no one's at risk of being eliminated. You watch Capcom Cup 2019, 2018, 2017, Capcom Cup before. From day 1, it's a double elimination bracket. You lose, you're in losers. You lose in losers, you're out. The stakes are high from the very beginning. I would prefer them to completely finish a group in a day. Completely finish it. Then players, like, they prepare for their 1 day of going hard. They go hard as fuck that day, and then they rest for the rest of the break. And then every day, people are being eliminated. Every day you tune in and see the drama. With this format, there's no drama to the spectator until the final day. By the time you get to the final day, you have to look back on the past results and piece together, like, why do I care about this match? Is this match important or not? What are the standings? How do I know if this is a critical match or not? Because some matches will happen that completely determine who makes it out of a group. The spectators wouldn't be able to piece that context together, and maybe even the commentators don't know. It gets lost. It's very hard to keep up with when you have to keep the context of every group every day versus 1 group per day. Look how many groups there are. What is that? 4, 7, 8 groups? There's 8 groups. I think top 16 and beyond, when you get 2 people out per group, top 16 and beyond, it's hype as hell. Capcom Cup 2022, top 16 and beyond was great once you got to the double elimination bracket. It wasn't even hype on day 3 because the commentators spent half their time doing math to calculate the chances of qualification based on things that happened 2 days earlier. Exactly, it's too much context. So the commentators are like, I think this match matters, maybe it doesn't. It's just too much. We don't have the stat crunchers to keep this all in mind to project the storylines here. If they did 1 group, it would be much easier. 1 group at a time, it would be much easier to understand when the high stakes moments were happening. And then for the commentators to get excited about that and convey that and keep the storyline moving. Because these are pocket stories in each group. Each one of these groups represents a story. And when you interweave each group one after another, it's hard to know what the story is. It's like doing an A plot, B plot show, but instead of A, B, you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. You got 8 plots going on at the same time, and you keep cutting one off for the other. The only thing I remember from this group stage was Momochi Mono situation. Yeah, so that was a big deal. So Momochi and Big Bird Mono, that was one of the big storylines. So Big Bird had lost to Gen, and then Momochi had lost a set to Big Bird. Okay, so Big Bird had beat Momochi. So it came down to basically Mono Big Bird. And because Momochi and Big Bird, Momochi was 3-2, Big Bird was 3-1. Mono was mathematically incapable of qualifying at this point, and he went up against Big Bird, and it was basically only playing to gatekeep Big Bird. And Momochi was there on the sidelines watching, rooting for Mono and getting super hyped. And then Mono ended up eliminating Big Bird, beating Big Bird rather, in the group stages, which ended up kicking him out of the runnings to qualify and put Momochi in because he had the better game record. Even though he lost the head-to-head, I think the tiebreaker was based on game record. He had to win, I think specifically, no, he had to win 2-1. So there, based on the game record, the way everything lined up, Mono winning over Big Bird got Momochi in. But I think if Big Bird had won another set 2-0, if he had gotten like a game on Gen or had beaten Momochi 2-0 or something, he would have been in Capcom Cup. So the game record actually ended up mattering here for Big Bird. If he had won better in other sets, he would have gotten in over Momochi, but instead Momochi got in. And Momochi was super hyped for that. Momochi tweeted this out. He took a photo with Mono after to praise Mono for getting him into Capcom Cup top 16. I took this photo. I was sitting here talking with Mono about what went down. We're chatting it up. And then Momochi comes up, interrupts us, and goes, "Hey, random guy, can you take a photo of us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, man." I took this photo. Hidden lore. You like my photo skills here? So that was a big storyline from Capcom Cup. Is this the Capcom Cup you won? Yes. Just close that tab out. Yes. Yes, it was.